Commander Jake Morrison stared at the empty display screen, his stomach sinking with every passing second. The communications array aboard Sentinel Prime, the farthest human outpost from Earth, had been silent for 6 hours. No signals from Earth. No routine traffic updates. No military broadcasts. Not even the hum of background chatter that always filled the void. For the first time in his career, the galaxy itself seemed quiet. At her station, Amy Rodriguez's fingers trembled over the console. She had served as communications officer for 8 years, had listened to every kind of message a human or alien could send across the stars. But this silence was different. Every channel was dead. Every frequency flatlined. Her voice cracked as she turned toward Jake. "Commander. Earth is gone." The word struck the command deck like a physical blow. Jake moved to her console, scanning the readings himself. The quantum entanglement communicators were offline. Subspace relays had gone dark. Even the most primitive radio signals, the kind that should have leaked endlessly into the stars, were missing. It was as though someone had flipped a cosmic switch. Earth, humanity's cradle, had vanished into silence. Dr. Charles Bennett burst into the command center, his lab coat stained with coffee, tablet clutched tightly in hand. He had been running sensor sweeps for hours, hunting for answers that refused to make sense. "Jake," he said breathlessly, "you need to see this." The main display flickered as Charles uploaded his analysis. Instead of the familiar cacophony of signals Earth always produced, broadcasts, navigational pings, defense alerts, there was only void. But worse, something else had appeared. At the edge of Sol's system pulsed a signature unlike anything Jake had seen. "That dark energy reading," Jake whispered, eyes narrowing. "What is it?" Charles's expression was grim. "Not natural. Whatever it is. It's big enough to blanket an entire solar system, and powerful enough to scramble our sensors from 50 light-years away." Amy's hands tightened into fists at her console. For hours she had tried to reach her family back home in Denver, her sister on Mars, her friends at the communications hub. None of them answered. Tears blurred her vision as she whispered. "Commander, the other stations are reporting the same blackout. Every human outpost in range. Earth is gone from them too." Jake felt the weight of command pressing down like a crushing gravity. Sentinel Prime had always been Earth's early warning line, watching the deep void for threats. Now, Earth itself had become the mystery, and they were the only ones who might discover why. The command center doors hissed open. Lieutenant Sam Parker, fresh from patrol, hurried in, pale and wide-eyed. "Commander, you're not going to believe this. Ships, alien ships, are approaching our position. Lots of them." The tactical display flared alive. Dozens of vessels advanced toward Sentinel Prime, the sleek silver arcs of the Zephyrian Trade Confederation, the dark, angular warforms of the Kronak Empire, even ships from species Jake barely recognized, nations that rarely ventured so far from their stars. Amy looked up from her board, disbelief in her voice. "They're all sending the same question. What happened to Earth? The Zephyrians offer help. The Kronaks demand answers. Even they're worried." Dr. Bennett pulled new data onto the display, showing sensor reports from across the galaxy. Alien fleets, merchant vessels, and research probes, all were transmitting the same desperate inquiry. Civilizations that had studied humanity for centuries now stared into silence, bewildered. For the first time in history, the galaxy looked to humans for answers. The comms board flared. "Priority message from New Portland," Amy announced, voice tight. "Governor Hayes is requesting immediate contact." Jake gave the order. The display shifted, revealing Governor Lisa Hayes, her face pale with exhaustion. "Commander Morrison, please tell me you have something. Anything. We lost contact with Earth 12 hours ago. The last transmission we received came from my brother Danny, he's a captain in the Earth Defense Fleet. All he sent was one word. She swallowed, eyes glistening. Run. The single syllable echoed through the command center. It carried the weight of a world. Jake leaned forward, voice steady but urgent. Governor, are you sure? Just that word? Nothing else, she whispered. The message cut off immediately after. Before Jake could reply, Charles seized his arm, pointing toward the sensor display. Look at this. Probe data streamed onto the screen, images of Earth's solar system. The planets were still there. But the entire system was wrapped in something vast, a wall of dark energy, stretching beyond Pluto's orbit. It pulsed like a living thing, rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Every signal that touched it vanished. Amy's voice trembled. God, it's a containment field. They locked us out. More signals poured in from alien fleets. The Zephyrians shared their readings. The barrier had appeared 14 hours ago, as if conjured from nothing. The Kronax confirmed, no ship could approach. Each attempt was repelled, as though by an invisible tide. Whatever surrounded Sol, it was deliberate. And it was not human. Sam spoke quietly, his usual bravado gone. Commander, if someone quarantined Earth, they're using tech way beyond anything we know. Beyond us. Beyond even the Kronax or Zephyrians. This is something else entirely. Amy's console flared red. Emergency frequencies lit up like fire across the spectrum. Dozens of alien ships repeated the same urgent call. Unknown barrier detected around Sol. Requesting human explanation. Nature of containment field unknown. Repeat. What happened to Earth? Jake stood motionless, staring at the display. For the first time in human history, every species in the galaxy turned to humanity for answers. And the most terrifying truth was this: Earth itself might no longer exist to give them. While the galaxy demanded explanations, deep beneath Earth's oceans, answers were already stirring. Dr. Kevin Foster adjusted his equipment aboard the mining submersible as sonar painted a shape no human should have ever seen. From the ocean floor rose a vast black spire, twisted and unnatural, etched with shifting symbols that made his eyes ache to look at. Captain Nina Walsh steadied the submersible, her voice low. Kevin, this thing's not alone. Sonar shows dozens. Maybe hundreds. Scattered across the ocean floor. Each structure was the same, dark, light-absorbing, impossibly ancient. Older than humanity. Older than Earth itself. Kevin extended a mechanical drill toward the spire. If we can get a sample, it might tell us. The moment the drill touched the surface, the sea around them glowed sickly green. The structure shuddered. The symbols moved. Nina's voice was sharp. Kevin, we need to leave. Now. But it was already too late. Across the seafloor, the other spires pulsed awake. One by one, they bled green light into the water. And from within them, shadows began to pour forth, shapes that moved like liquid night, impossible things that carried weight but no form. Kevin's heart froze as realization struck. They're waking up. Whatever was buried here, it's been waiting for billions of years. The galaxy was restless. Every major power, from the Kronak warlords to the Zephyrian merchants, demanded answers about Earth's silence. For centuries, humanity had been underestimated, dismissed as newcomers to the galactic stage. Yet suddenly, every species found itself staring into the same mystery. A dark energy barrier had sealed Sol. No ship entered. No signal escaped. No explanation came. And still, the question echoed across the stars. What happened to Earth? On Sentinel Prime, Commander Jake Morrison stood before the war table, its surface alive with transmissions from alien governments. Many asked for cooperation. Others threatened retribution. Some whispered theories too dark to voice aloud. Amy Rodriguez leaned closer, her voice low. Commander, they're afraid. The Chronax, the Zephyrians, even the Tarli. None of them admit it openly, but I can hear it in their tone. They think we did this. Jake's jaw tightened. He knew what she meant. Humanity had long been underestimated, yes, but also feared. For all their short lifespans and reckless ambition, humans had achieved things other civilizations considered impossible. Colonizing barren rocks with air and water. Reverse engineering alien technology within decades. Building fleets faster than the galaxy believed possible. If Earth had truly created this barrier, then humanity had revealed a weapon beyond comprehension. And if they hadn't, then something even worse was loose. Dr. Charles Bennett rubbed his temples, staring at the sensor data. Commander, these readings, they don't match any known alien technology. This is older. Far older. We're looking at something that doesn't belong in our era, or maybe even in our galaxy. Before Jake could respond, Amy's console flashed with an incoming signal. Not from the Chronax. Not from the Zephyrians. Not from any known ally or enemy. Her eyes widened. It's them. The Harari. The command deck fell silent. The Harari were old. Older than any empire still standing. A quiet, neutral people who rarely left their hidden enclaves. When they spoke, the galaxy listened, for their memory stretched back millennia. The transmission resolved into the image of a Harari elder, his features blurred by shimmering veils of light. His voice carried the weight of endless patience. Humans of Sentinel Prime. We warned your ancestors long ago, the soil of Earth is not your own. You built your homes upon a tomb. And now, the architects stir. Jake exchanged a glance with Charles, then asked the only question that mattered. What are the architects? The Harari elder's eyes, deep, unblinking, seemed to pierce through the screen. They are the first. The builders of the prison you call soul. They caged something within your world before your kind walked upright. And for 500,000 years, their work held. But now the locks fail. Amy's voice shook. You're saying Earth itself is a containment cell? The elder inclined his head. Yes. And its seal is breaking. Jake struggled to breathe. The weight of the Harari's words pressed like lead on his chest. Humanity had always believed Earth was chosen, special, a cradle of life against cosmic odds. But what if Earth had been chosen for another reason entirely? Not as a gift, but as a cage. Charles spoke first, voice hoarse. If the architects built that barrier, it means, whatever's inside is awake. The Harari's image shimmered. Already, their shadows rise from your seas. The spires beneath your oceans are not relics, they are locks. And your kind has disturbed them. The transmission cut abruptly, leaving only static. Amy turned toward Jake, pale. Commander, the spires. That's what Dr. Foster reported from the Pacific Trench. If those structures were containment locks, then Earth's silence isn't just a defense. It's a warning. Jake's voice was steady, but grim. Then we can't wait for orders. If Earth's locked away, we need to know why. And if something's inside. Charles finished the thought. Then Project Nightfall may be our only chance. At the mention of the name, Amy shivered. Project Nightfall was more myth than program, whispered in classified channels. A failsafe built not to defend Earth, but to erase it, if ever the world itself became too dangerous to exist. While the galaxy speculated, events on Earth escalated. Deep beneath the Pacific, Kevin Foster and Captain Nina Walsh struggled to escape the awakening spires. The waters around them churned with shadows, fluid, formless things that moved as though gravity did not apply. Their instruments screamed warnings that made no sense, mass without substance, energy without source, shapes that defied geometry. Nina forced the submersible upward, engines burning red. We're not going to make it. Kevin watched in horror as one of the shadows solidified, if only for an instant. In that flicker of form, he saw an outline resembling neither man nor beast, but something vast, like a city given flesh, or a machine that thought itself alive. Then it dissolved again, melting back into the black tide. Kevin whispered, voice barely audible. They're not creatures. They're fragments. Pieces of something whole. And it's trying to remember itself. The submersible broke the surface at last, gasping engines spraying seawater. But the ocean behind them glowed with an unnatural green, and one by one, titanic spires erupted from the waves. The locks of Earth had failed. Back on Sentinel Prime, the command deck shook with transmissions. The Kronax demanded war. The Zephyrians offered uneasy alliances. Other empires pleaded for unity, terrified that Earth's silence meant apocalypse. Amy turned to Jake, her voice steady now despite the fear in her eyes. Commander, the galaxy thinks humanity is the threat. But what if the truth is worse? What if we're just the first to face it? Jake stared at the dark energy barrier pulsing around Sol. It was not a wall built to keep the galaxy out. It was a wall built to keep something in. And for the first time, he wondered if Earth's silence was not a tragedy, but a mercy. The galaxy had waited for Earth's silence to break. Instead, it deepened. Across star systems, diplomats argued, warlords threatened, merchants speculated. But all their words were drowned by the same relentless fear. If humanity had sealed its home, then humanity had something to hide. And if humanity had not, then something older, something unspeakable, was breaking free. On Sentinel Prime, Commander Jake Morrison stood before a star map of Sol. The dark energy barrier still pulsed, but now it rippled, like a heartbeat. Dr. Charles Bennett's voice was quiet, almost reverent. It's not just a cage anymore. It's breathing. On Earth, Captain Nina Walsh and Dr. Kevin Foster had reached the surface of the Pacific. But safety was an illusion. Around them, the sea was alive. Monolithic spires jutted skyward, casting shadows across the waves. Each one hummed with impossible resonance, shaking the very marrow in their bones. Kevin stared at the glowing waters, horror etched across his face. They're not rising randomly. They're forming a pattern. A lattice. It's rebuilding the lock, or worse, rewriting it. Nina gripped the controls. Rewriting it into what? Before Kevin could answer, the ocean split. From the abyss below, something vast moved, too large to comprehend, its outline broken by distance and distortion. It was not a creature. Not a ship. Not even a structure in the sense humans understood. It was geometry given hunger. Kevin felt the thought more than heard it. The architects remember. Back on Sentinel Prime, Amy Rodriguez monitored the chaos across the galactic channels. Fleets repositioned. Armies prepared for war. Every empire wanted to know, would humanity unleash the architects? Or would the architects unleash themselves? Then, another Harari transmission cut through the static. The same elder appeared, his veiled form shaking as if even speaking carried unbearable weight. Humans. You awaken what should have slept until the end of stars. The architects do not build as you do. They do not conquer as you do. They rewrite reality until nothing remains but their design. Jake stepped forward. Then why cage them on Earth? Why risk everything on one world? The Harari elder's gaze was endless. Because your kind was not meant to live there. Humanity was an accident, a flame lit inside the tomb. And now, you are the key. The transmission ended in silence. Charles turned, pale. Commander, if we're the key, then Nightfall isn't just a failsafe. It's a trigger. Amy's voice trembled. You mean, destroying Earth isn't to save us? It's to keep the architects locked. Jake's hands tightened on the table. The thought was unthinkable, but undeniable. If Earth itself was the lock, then annihilating it might be the only way to stop the architects from spreading. But could he order the death of a world, of billions still alive inside the barrier? Jake whispered, as much to himself as to his crew. If nightfall is our only option, then humanity's survival depends on the courage to end our own cradle. Human eyes should not see. Gravity wavered. The horizon bent. Kevin clutched the railing of the submersible, knuckles white. It's trying to overwrite the laws of physics. The architects don't invade. They erase. And then they rebuild. Nina's voice was steel. Then humanity doesn't wait. We fight. As the spires pulsed, humanity's hidden preparations came alive. Satellites in silent orbit unfolded weapons no alien empire had ever seen. Subterranean vaults opened, unleashing fleets built in secrecy. Artificial intelligence networks, dormant for decades, lit up like wildfire. Humanity had always feared this day. They had planned for it in whispers, across centuries. And now, their silence was over. From the edges of Sol, alien fleets gathered. Kronak warships. Zephyrian trade cruisers repurposed for battle. Neutral observers from half a dozen worlds. All of them trained their sensors on Earth, waiting to see if humanity would collapse, or ascend. Jake looked out from Sentinel Prime, voice heavy but resolute. They wanted to know what happened to Earth. Now they'll learn. Humanity was never just another species. We were the test. The accident. The key. Amy met his eyes, fear and fire mingled. And if we can't close the lock? Jake answered without hesitation. Then we do what humans have always done. We fight in the dark. And we make sure the galaxy remembers who we are, no matter what comes. Back on Earth, the first architect fragment rose fully into the sky. It was incomprehensible, a shifting lattice of impossible angles, every moment rewriting itself. The seas boiled beneath it, the atmosphere screamed. Kevin whispered the thought that chilled his soul. They're not just returning. They're redesigning the universe to their blueprint. If they succeed here, it won't just be Earth. It'll be everything. Nina raised her weapon, though it looked laughably small against the thing above them. Then we hold the line. We buy time. We trust that someone, somewhere, will choose the unthinkable if it comes to it. Above them, the architect form pulsed, like a heart beating for the first time in 500,000 years. On Sentinel Prime, Jake gave the order. All fleets. All weapons. Every shadow project. Humanity stands. We don't run. We don't kneel. If the architects are awake, then we fight them, not for victory, but for memory. Amy whispered, almost to herself. For memory. Jake nodded. For proof that, when the end came, humanity didn't vanish in silence. We roared. The barrier around Earth flared, brighter than any star, as the first human counterstrike ignited against the impossible. And across the galaxy, billions watched in awe and terror. For the first time, they understood. Humanity had not disappeared. Humanity had not hidden. Humanity had been waiting. For the day the architects would rise. And now, the war for existence had begun.